Hey guys, the soap for today is Sterling. We're going to continue to use that because they were awesome. Sterling was in helping us get our Zenith Bore brushes in as a custom brush. It required import taxes and licenses and things like that. I've shared enough of that already on my channel. This is the B35 from Zenith. You can get the same brush, but with the stock handle, obviously. And it's more of an ivory color, which I think is tremendous as well. I like that a lot. We're going to be using the lather bowl I've used a lot lately, Dollar Tree type of melamine bowl with glass decorator beads epoxied into the bottom of it. The Sharp Dressed Man is a Green Irish Tweed clone dupe, if you will, and this one hasn't really even been used. I know that I've used a sample of the Green Irish Tweed before. I don't use it very much because it's a very sharp type scent. I think it's great for those of you shaving in the morning and need something peppy to kind of wake you up. I do like it as a cologne. It does start out kind of sharp in the beginning and it smooths out nicely. I don't shave with it too much, but I do like the scent. Some famous dudes in the past, I don't know if it's Clint Eastwood, Cary Grant, or Clark Gable, you know, some people kind of like that are famous for wearing this scent. I'm going to put a feather blade in the Henson aluminum razor. In fact, I already have. My broadcast kind of got interrupted, so I'm starting over. This is the Plus Plus razor, and so I think that means medium. I think it may be a version prior to the AL13 is my guess. And so here's the feather blade. It's got about 7 or 8 uses on it. Kai is another very sharp blade that often gives people issues. It's a wider blade and so it has more exposure. So that's one of the reasons. Feather, in a similar way, has a bit of a mystique to it as being a really sharp blade. I have a feeling just like the Kai was mitigated with this razor's setup and mild nature, I think the feather is probably going to be just fine and not really rear its ugly head. I have pre-washed my face with a little bit of Sterling hand soap, and so especially because I've got about a week's worth of growth on there. Let me get my brush nice and wet. Then I'm going to do my usual shake the water out. It may be crazy to put water in and then shake it out, but in doing this, I'm kind of making sure each shave starts with the same amount of water in the brush. All right, so it would be easy to shake more out, but a lot of it that's going to come out has already come out. So what are we thinking? Maybe 30% of water left in the brush, something like that. 15, 12 seconds of loading is all I need to do with this soap. Oh, 15 started right there. So I actually started on the 16, but it'll still be easy to stop at 31. And I'm going to get over here on top of my lather bowl in case. Oh, and it's almost 31 right there. All right. I'm going to let kind of the slurpy mess fall into the lather bowl. I'm going to use this stuff just to kind of do a little bit of extra washing on my face to get that scent in my nose because it's enjoyable. It's very classy. Creed, I think it's Creed, right? It's the maker of Green Irish Tweed. Rinse off the tub here, the threading and all that. I was going to shave with the Persona 74 tungsten vintage blade today, but having trouble finding it. So I don't guess I will. I'll have to look some other places. I did maybe think I took it on a trip, and so maybe it's just in my travel bag. So let's start working that. Working that lather up. The brush here, it's a Bore brush. Its dimensions, when you compare the loft, which is the length of the bristles from the handle to the tips, when you compare that ratio against the ratio of that loft with the diameter. Then this is in the kind of stubby, short, chubby, scrubby type category. And so it's got a lot of backbone in the bottom part of the bristles, but the tips, they definitely splay and are soft and comfy. And so I think that scrubby moniker doesn't really need to stay on that brush for very long, especially with a company like Zenith that is just renowned for having those soft tips. A lot of these have split, but a lot of them haven't yet. The ones in the center are slower to split. The Green Iris Tweed is a kind of a strong scent. It's peppy. It has some zest to it. And if you're a morning shaver especially, I can see how you would enjoy that if you need your shave to help you get going, help you wake up, that kind of thing. I'm usually a night shaver, and so I don't need that right before. The cologne is expensive because it's not like a Sterling cologne or something like that. It's a big name manufacturer, you know, cologne house, available in department stores, things like that. Obviously, there are other clones with dupe fragrance manufacturers, you know. But I have gotten a sample a few years ago. I did get a hold of a sample of the real thing, and it was very nice. And a lot of times, different notes will come out in the real thing. And in my studies, it seemed like one of the things that you can see when you use the scent from the original manufacturer, especially if they're of renown, is that a lot of the components they use are better components, and the scent will last longer on you because of that. And so while you may find a dupe that is similar enough to where you enjoy it, sometimes the dupe won't last as long as the more expensive version. I added about 15 milliliters of water to this. It's still got plenty of, you can see it move just a tiny bit, but it's still got plenty of body. You can see that clump there. So I'm going to add just a little bit more water. With long stubble like I have, I'm actually not going to add a lot more water. After this first pass, I might add more, but I've just discovered that a lather that's just a hair thicker than I might normally like is better for the first pass if I have long stubble. Probably because of maybe some, even though I did a face wash, there may still be some oils left that are going to combat the lather. All right, well, as usual with Sterling, that lather just looks terrific. It's got a great sheen on it. A little water on my face. Green Iris Tweed is the original Sterling Sharp Dressed Man. It's, if you didn't notice, it's the Sterling Man series. Mediterranean Man, Mountain Man. That's what they are calling their series, where they're doing dupes of famous men's colognes. And here, if I discover it's a little too dry, that's all right. I can just get a drip going in my faucet, put a little bit of water on the tips. And if you put more than just a few drops, you may find more runs out of the brush than gets on your face. And so what you can do is a few drops at a time, do a few strokes like that to kind of work it together, then do a few more drops, you know, that kind of a thing. And we're going to go ahead and stop right there with the water adding, and see, look, we're still making some very nice lather, even though I keep adding water. The thicker lather also makes the brush work on my face feel a little better. When you have a thinner lather with long stubble like this, then maybe it's not this way for you guys, but I can really feel my stubble being kind of pushed around, and it's not all that comfortable. Thicker lather helps that. All right. So we've got probably maybe even a week's worth of growth here. This is a fairly mild razor. There is plenty of air underneath the blade edge for clogging not to really occur. I will rinse it on a regular basis here, but a little bit of tugging. Definitely not going to be surprised at that, since the hair is so long that it's laying over in weird ways that razors weren't really meant to try to work with. Even though I'm changing grips here, I've got my center of gravity grip right here for doing this side. I switched over to where the base sits in my hand here, and it's more of a cradling nesting grip. And so this could have more leverage since the contact point is far apart, but I'm still focusing my mind on a very light touch. I just kind of let my grip change as it needs to. If you always just have that mindset of a light touch, then it helps you to just change your grip dynamically, and no matter which fingers you're holding the razor with or where you are holding on the handle, you can keep that lightness going through the whole pass. Not going to worry too much about hidden areas completely, because this is just the first pass. As I took a pause right there for the after the pass, the rinsing and drying my hands a little bit, I had the thought and reminded myself of the Lancaster towel that I've got on my way to me. I have heard about these super plush, super soft towels. And sometimes they're hard to get because I guess they're just in such high demand. Maggard Razors recently, Mammoth, starts with an M, so I guess that's why that popped out. Mammoth recently had a drop where they have a coffee scent with some other cool notes called Rumble that came out. And it came out at the same time as Shire 2. They released Shire again, and the Shire is one of my favorite all-time scents. I've got the kind of the first release from several years ago. Oh, so earthy and grassy. I just love it so much. So I went ahead and bought the new one. He said he approached the perfume a little differently in terms of chemically making all the scents kind of work together. He said it was just a different, it was all the same inspiration. He was trying to get the scent to be pretty much the same, but obviously it's going to end up to be a little different. But he thinks it, Ben of Mammoth said he thinks it turned out really good and better than the original, but I like the original so much that I wouldn't be surprised if I was disappointed, because maybe there's something about it that I just especially liked, you know. But anyway, I bought the second one. And at the same time as Rumble and Shire 2, he dropped some Lancaster towels that had Mammoth logos on them or something like that. And I tried to be super fast and order a towel, and I did. And I got one, and it's on the way. So during that previous break, I was filled with anticipation because surely it's going to get here any day now, right? I headed out to the mailbox to see if it was already there in mid-shave. A little bit of a rinse right there. We'll go to the third pass. It's not a super strong scented soap. And look, there's 15 seconds of loading. I've still got 3 or more passes of lather here in the bowl. I keep thinking that I don't need to load for 15 seconds, but this brush just picks up soap really well. Now, how's it feeling right now? Is it soft? Right now, I'm kind of feeling the backbone here. I'm feeling it as kind of scrubby. The tips are soft. And a lot of the stubble is gone. So I am feeling, that second pass was very effective, so I am feeling a lot of just kind of empty skin as I'm shaving. I do feel the blade, and that's been consistent with all of the uses with this razor. You feel it, but it's in control. I feel like I could give myself some razor burn. Now, there are definitely guys out there with slightly tougher skin that probably wouldn't have to worry about razor burn with this piece at all, but I feel like I could give myself some if I wasn't careful. But as long as I'm just kind of any kind of careful, I feel like I'm very safe, but I also feel like I'm getting a good close cut at the same time, and that's a great combination to have. So it wasn't super smooth in terms of the feel of the shave. There are razors like the Fatip and the Timeless 68 that are maybe just as effective and efficient, but they feel smoother during the cutting process. This one is, it does feel like maybe the blade, while very supported, it's still, well, it's hard to describe. It still feels like maybe the blade is a little higher of an angle than I might normally use. You know, higher as in greater of an angle, where maybe the Fatip and the Timeless, maybe they make it be a shallower angle, and so then the cutting feels more smooth. Now, my face feels very good. There's no irritation or anything like that. So it's not a bad kind of feeling that we're talking about here. The first shave here with this Henson, and I've now had several shaves with it, was the only one where I felt like I was shaving with this blocky rectangle touching my face the whole time. After that, it became much more natural and it felt much more like a normal razor. Now, sure, there are some tricky things that you can't do with this one, riding the cap to change the angle of the blade. You can't really do that with this one because of that flat plane. It lifts the blade off of your skin too much. Get a good rinse here. Around 2017 is when I started with my shaving journey with this kind of equipment. I was lucky enough to grab some balm from Chatillon Luxe. And this is Gray-Sho League Square. And back then, it was very renowned for separating. And it would have this a yellow buttery liquid with the solid, and so frequently you'd have to take a toothpick and reconstitute everything, and there was nothing wrong with that. So now I'm using my pipe smoking poker tool here, and usually what's left on the little tool is a very nice amount to use for kind of one side of the face, so you don't actually use too much. It's very kind of buttery, very nourishing, to me, it just really carries the scent well. Yeah, that really helps me not to use too much of it. And I'll get one more little serving for my Nick. And I feel like these notes are lower, more woodsy, less pointed, less pungent than the Green Irish Tweed. And so I feel like they're a nice follow-up to kind of anchor and make the Green Irish Tweed more earthy as I move forward with my day. So that's nice. And I just wanted to use some of this up, and boy, maybe I need to quit being stingy with it because it's going to last forever, right, if I keep doing that. But so this is several years old and it's still working well. I also have some Bon Vivant from Chatillon-Lux. Sean Maher, of course, is the guy from Chatillon-Lux. And yeah, so that's just really nice. Very nourishing for your face because of all those buttery type ingredients. All right. So it's good. And I had to pull these out because they kind of hide away and I forget to use them, and I don't want them to die on me and go unused, right? So that was the shave. You know, now that I've had a chance to use this razor several times, I'm thinking I wouldn't mind trying the mild plate. Now that I've tried the plus, which I think is the medium. I need to get some information. I think I need to email Henson and send them some pictures of this razor so they can tell me the model number, whether it's the AL13 is what's on their site right now, and so I'm guessing this is not that. But is this the AL12, or is it some other number, so that I could be able to communicate about it accurately to you guys, as well as if I, for instance, wanted to trade somebody the plus plate, trade it with the a milder plate, then I would make sure I'd get them compatible, So there we go. That is the shave, and I showed you how much lather I have left over. I really need to start lowering my load time because I don't need that long of a load. There we go. The scent's going to be nice. It's a warm type scent. It's a little too well blended, like so many of Sean's are, for me to really pinpoint different scents and things like that. It's like a woody, not necessarily ambery, but there's maybe vanilla. There's something in there that kind of makes it warm, but has some interesting parts. It's not very pungent, like a high punchy cedar or zesty orange or anything like that. It's more lower, and that's one of the reasons I like it. Those foundational notes, those base notes, like woodiness and warmth and things like that. And so yeah, that's very enjoyable. I think it follows up the Green Irish Tweed very nicely. Another one I thought about doing was the Prix de Provence number 63. It's very smoky and also kind of warm and woody and spicy. And so I think it's a good follow-up to many cologne type shaving soaps. So that's it for today's shave. I continue to be impressed by the Henson as I'm using it. And I will do a blow dryer treatment on this brush right after this shave. So I'm continuing to do that after every shave. Wasn't quite as soft as I'm remembering that it was in previous uses, but maybe that's something that comes and goes. It definitely had a chance to soak plenty of time, plenty before the shave. So that's it. I'm smelling good right now. I have no irritation. Great. Take care, you guys. Hopefully this helps you in your shaving journey. You guys take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves.